So this is me. It's my first Creative Mornings here as a speaker. So I am Callum Preston, and I'm a working, living, growing designer, artist, and sort of everyman, I suppose. But today's topic is the theme of commitment, and so I just want to make some things clear. I'm committed. I committed to doing this talk months ago, completely ignoring the word mornings as part of the title, which means, just like all of you, here I am bright and early. I only live 6 streets away, but it was still tight. But I did find out it was here and not in the city a few weeks ago, which was very exciting. So I committed to doing this talk, but then all of a sudden, like probably everyone in the room, nothing came out. I went to write the talk, I went to start doing a slideshow, and all of a sudden nothing would come out. I couldn't commit to any of the things that I wanted to say. So I took to the anus of the internet, a website known as twitter.com, and I posted this tweet. I said, I'm speaking to 210 creative people this Friday morning on the topic of commitment, and at this point I'm unable to commit to a font choice or what images to put in. So it was difficult, but I felt like that really unblocked something for me, and sometimes that's what it's needed. And then a helpful friend by the name of Arsman1989, he suggested a suitable font. And once again, I felt committed to writing this speech. So, back to commitment. I can't even put you through that briefly. So, commitment. I'm committed. I am committed to my wonderful wife, Mo. We've been committed through mutual jewelry for 2.5 years. And even more importantly, we committed on a much more serious level back when Osher was still Andrew G in the year of 2009, and we made it Facebook official when we first started dating. This was pre-Instagram when you had to put a bit of effort into your online snooping. And we committed, and it's the best thing I ever did. I'm committed to this bit, this life bit. So I pretty much have the same taste in music, movies, fashion, hobbies as I did when I was a teenager. So I guess I'm just committed to the cliche that most men just hit a peak somewhere and stick with it forever. So late high school, I'd say, whatever era Drazik was in. So, I mean, I think, you know, when you find the things you like, you can stick to them, and if it's working for you, there's no need to change, unless your year 11 photo looks like this. And so then changing is probably for the best. I got a refund for that. They literally just sent that and a refund and an apology to my mum. Public school is fine. But yeah, I'm committed to this life bit, this creative life. And that's not to say that I'm uncommitted to other things. It's not that I'm not uncommitted to anything that's not just Instagram worthy, living my best life type things. We've all got to live. I do taxes, not creatively, because I like my freedom. I do invoicing. I get in email chain loops with clients with really a passive aggressive sort of file names that end up back at the original draft. I too avoid eye contact with the gym membership withdrawal on my net bank. I just do normal things like all of you do. But I'm committing to finding creativity in everything I do, and I really have been for a long time without even realising it. So this is 1987. This is me at the Resi statewide Gladstone Park branch with a colouring competition that I won, the prize being $10 in a new account. 2 weeks ago I went to get an additional credit card, and the account that I use today is actually still that account, but it's just rolled over through my schooling into Dolomites, into university, into home loans and all kinds of fun stuff that the bank owns. But it kind of struck me that I really built, even the framework of my finances is built from my creativity when I was probably still wetting my pants. So it's a long time, and I still do the same thing. I stand next to things I've painted and pose for my mum. So that's me being creative, committed to this creativity. But I can find that creativity in anything. When I worked in a warehouse, I was very creative with the bulk shipping label printer and was able to print 300 to 400 of my own stickers per lunch break. But I made this commitment to myself years ago, around 6.5 years ago. My wife and I moved back to Melbourne from America. I'm from Melbourne originally, and she's from Seattle, Washington. We were living over there, and I committed to having a proper go at putting myself out there into the world and trying to just live off this sort of creative commitment. And it's been slowly building, and opportunity is built by committing to that active social involvement and putting myself out there and being involved in group shows and just coming to things like this and meeting other creatives and becoming that sponge and learning from how other people are doing things. So very important to that is sort of putting out the kind of work that I want to do, which tends to breed more of that same work. I'm committed to being responsible and living within our means. It's cringy enough to act like you have a lot of money. It's even more cringy when you're making $100 for a t-shirt design once a month and claiming that you're a full-time designer. So me rolling around like I was some kind of full-time freelancer wasn't the reality, but I've never been afraid of having a real job. And my parents were never afraid of me possibly getting a real job. I just haven't quite executed that. But this is one of those things, a lot of people say to not have a backup plan. If you have a backup plan or a safety net, then you'll never really jump all the way into your passion, which I can believe in a way, but I do have a backup plan, so I'd be lying to say that you don't need any plan. And my backup plan is really the only plan that actually exists, which is I'm a hard worker. I would work hard no matter what I was doing. If I had to go back to packing boxes or digging ditches or washing dishes to make ends meet, I would do it, and I have done it, and I would do it again. I'm not against working purely for the paycheck. I've managed to just find a way to keep myself out of that for now, and I've blurred the lines of what I love and what I get paid to do. So that's really gross, like a super boring, wanky artist script text over photo ocean Instagram motivational quote. And that's kind of, it's not really what I want to say. So what's the real deal with being a creative? I hear you tweet into the anus of the internet. Well, I don't have the secret formula. Oh shit, maybe I do and I just don't know it yet, but I could live to be the world's oldest man. We can't prove that until I prove otherwise. But what I do know is that commitment to doing my best and being happy with that, working hard and having focus when needed, and also knowing when to break away and take a little break from things and when to walk away from the wrong client is difficult, but sometimes has to be done. I've got to know when to hold them, when to fold them, when to walk away. I'm getting distracted, but occasionally a run for exercise of body and mind is also one of my preferences. That's sort of my commitment to that world. But I have to confess that I'm a page filler. I like busyness. Visually, when I was a kid, my room was covered in posters, and not in the I had a bunch of posters up. There was no wall to be seen. I had the front of a Pepsi machine that I had found in a dumpster at Melbourne Airport, and I had an ever-growing collection of those orange flashing construction lights that my parents were amazed at how well I was able to find them all the time. I like to fill a space. I like to fill a wall. I like to fill a drawing, a screen print, a gallery show, a slideshow, a room at the Commons. I like to fill these things with objects. It comes down to this. I believe that if it's worth doing, it's worth overdoing. So I want to deliver. When I say I'm going to do something, I don't want to go small on it, I want to go big. So some examples of that would be a friend of mine asking if I would want to paint a ramp that they had in their house. And they had really applied the same idea. When he said they had a ramp at their house, I thought he meant maybe a mini ramp or a little half pipe. So I got there, the entire backyard of this house had been turned into a BMX park, and it ran through the garage into a sidewall of the house. They'd removed entire sections and just turned it into this sort of wonderland. He asked if I would want to come and paint something on it, which made sense, but it's a pretty large, rough surface. So if you were to end up on Google Maps, you would see what I painted ended up completely above the yard. That house got demolished a few months ago, along with the ramp, but I do have some great footage of that. There's a video online called The Ramp House, if anyone wants to look that up, which explains the whole sequence of that. Somehow they got their security bond back on the house. I don't know how. But anyway, back to filling the page. So I can appreciate minimal art and gallery shows that's one piece in a giant room. I just can't do that myself. It's not my style. I love it, but I couldn't do it if I tried. I like to fill the page, and somehow I managed to find when to stop most of the time. So when I said that I wanted to do a Back to the Future art show, for example, I don't know if anyone's familiar with this, but I did a show back in 2015 on the day that Marty goes to the future, because what other day would you do it? I didn't want to just draw some stills from the movie in watercolor and show them on a clean wall. I wanted to really fill a gallery with art relating to this movie, have it be like a group show of 60 or more people, but it would just all be me. I don't know if this is commitment or just control freakism, but it was something that came to me and I thought, it's going to be tough, but I think I can do it, and I committed to that idea. What else could I do for this show? And I thought, oh, why not build a replica DeLorean out of, I know how to build stuff, why don't build it out of hard rubbish and wood, because that'd be way cooler. You know, it's the kind of thing that I could have just paid some guy called Craig from Eltham who rents his DeLorean out for weddings to come down and park out the front. My brother did that at his wedding. But it didn't make sense. Why would I want a real DeLorean when a real DeLorean is not what I imagined when I was 10 years old and I saw this movie and it inspired me to draw my own versions of things. So I thought, yeah, let's build a full-size wooden DeLorean out of rubbish and park it on Smith Street and nearly have it be hit by a tram. I wanted people to be able to get inside and touch and feel it and grip the steering wheel, which was made out of an old IKEA stool top, and have the homebrew system on the back spewing dry ice. I wanted people to commit this to their memory. I wanted them to have an experience that they would remember. And it really did. It really worked. It was the first time that I had ever made something that I kind of witnessed have an effect on people, which was really powerful. And it was at that time that I had that feeling of when someone introduced me as an artist, I kind of accepted it a little bit more. I kind of went, yeah. Sometimes I fix broken toilets as well. But yeah, okay, I'm kind of an artist. So once I truly saw that I could create something that would make someone feel something, even as basic as, you know, a trilogy of 80s breakthrough box office smashes, I realized that if I was going to do art shows, I wanted to go big. I wanted to overdo it. I wanted to over-deliver. And even if someone completely hates everything that I've ever done, they're going to have to walk through the door and admit, well, he did put in a lot of work. And I would say, yes, thank you. And they'd say, even if it's just commercial nostalgia-inspired crap. But I don't care, because I would have walked away by that point and not heard that second half. Thanks for coming down to that guy. It's just one of those things I wanted to over-deliver. So this leads to my most recent show, Callum Preston's Milk Bar. It's a show that allows me to do two of my favourite things, discuss people's fondest memories of suburban youth and these kind of shops, and refer to myself in the third person, which is one of Callum's favourite passions. So it starts out like this. Callum, I had this thought, what's the obvious thing that's around me? So the answer to that is stuff. It's always been stuff. Simple food products, kitchen items. They're designed to be used and discarded, but if you make a sculpture of something as simple as a bottle of barbecue sauce, it becomes something else. If you cast it in bronze, you bake it in clay, you carve it from sandstone, it's high end, it's more like an heirloom. But that seemed too much, and what if it's made from my favorite, the A4 printer paper of building supplies, my old friend plywood? Then it becomes something else. It feels special because attention's been given, but it still remains humble. As a little backstory to this, when I was 12, my very first job was working in a milk bar. Sorry if anyone knows this story. this story, but I would stack the shelves. I don't know how you would know that story unless you've read it somewhere, but I would stack the shelves in the fridge wearing a large oversized snow jacket that belonged to my boss Charlie, and I would stand inside the walk-in freezer rotating stock every Thursday afternoon. Sometimes it would take me half an hour, sometimes it would take me 4 hours. Regardless of time, I was paid the award rate of $5. But while working there, I was able to eat and drink whatever I wanted from the store, which led to serious issues with my teeth and probably quite a large stock loss for him. But if you flash forward, it's not 1997 anymore, and I had this idea of making a few of my favorite items out of plywood. And it would sort of act like a little mini wooden display shelf of products. And that'd be really fun. They'd all be hand-drawn and a little bit wobbly and not quite right. But then I developed the idea and I remembered my commitment to people's experience and my commitment to making sure that I enjoy making the art. I basically remembered that if it was worth doing, it was worth overdoing. So I decided to just build the entire shop. So I wanted people to be able to walk into this shop. I wanted them to walk around, touch, smell, look, see and hear all these different items, and in some hazy way it would be this giant wooden time machine, the second wooden time machine that I will have built in 3 years. So over 500 individual items, hand cut and hand painted later, and the shop itself, signage, a phone box, a post box, a counter, a graffitied back laneway behind the shop. There's multiple hidden dicks in that drawing, and I didn't realize until I brought through a group of grade 4 students for an artist talk, and they are very good at spotting those kind of things. So this is the show. It's been shown twice so far. It's been seen by close to 8,000 people now. It was purchased by the Sandry Collection because my original intention was to sell off all of those individual items, but it was purchased so that it can remain together and continue to be shown around Australia, which we're currently working on for next year's schedule. This is the return of a commitment to an idea. I overdid it, and I know that I overdid it, but it was what needed to be done to make this idea really stand on its own feet. So in addition to that, for the second showing, which was recently in Benalla, was the stock room. The stock room was a workshop where kids could use my cardboard templates of all the products inside to design their own products. And then with my evil skills, I pitted them against each other by telling each group that the previous group had created the weirdest items that I'd ever seen, and I didn't know if they would be able to outdo them, which led to much competition. It also led to bacon and eggs flavoured toilet duck, amongst many other strange, wild products. But a couple of thousand cardboard products later, I now have an amazing back catalogue of inspiration from very innocent mind. So I have more projects in the work. This is the photo I want to show our kids actually one day and be like, this is just how everyone looked back then. I also have this other long concept of photoshopping out belly buttons on photos and then printing them so they have a date on them, leaving them in an album, and in 20-some years' time, as our kids find them, I can go, that was before everyone started getting belly buttons done. And I'm like, we had yours done at birth, obviously, because it's much more painless. But anyway, sidetrack. So this is where I want to get real. I have it in me to feel like an imposter. I have no more purpose being up here than any of you. I doubt in my work. I second guess my ability when I sign on for a large project or even a small project. The only thing I'm completely competent with is resizing a JPEG for my mum from her holiday that I need to email back to her. Outside of that, writing a speech, I wonder if at any stage if this is going to be the one. This will be the one that falls over. When I call myself an artist, I feel that little sting from the back of my mind that's like, easy, mate, relax there. It's not my place to decide. It's up to others. It's up to you. It's up to the public to judge me on my worth and my work. I should just say I'm a creative. Actually, it kind of makes more sense, but it sounds more wanky. Maybe I'm a wanker. I should call myself a wanker. I'm not sure. So I think it's a rule, Brad Pitt can't just come around calling himself the sexiest man alive. He has to wait to be confirmed and affirmed by a reader's poll. That's only in there because it's actually part of my show as well from the Milk Bar. But these are the realities for a lot of us, and I wanted to address that sometimes you're on a great roll and you doubt nothing, and I do hit that point with some of my work, and it's an amazing feeling. But other times you come out of the starting blocks, you really stumble and fall, and next thing you know, your own name looks like the menu of a Thai takeaway restaurant, and you're wondering how you ended up like that. So I try to just keep a straight, composed face throughout all of this, because I know that I have that commitment to doing my best with the skills that I have. Bettering myself, upskilling before it was a buzzword, yearning to learn, becoming the apprentice. So when I see someone doing something that I'm interested in or I'm inspired by, I want to share in their excitement for it and also learn from it, regardless of whether it's something that I want to be doing. I think that watching anyone with a passion for what they do, you can learn a lot, which can be applied to all elements of your own work. So the commitment to bettering myself when I need to learn, asking for help when I realize my weakness, and taking advice from others, the laser vision of this commitment to an idea can be detrimental. It doesn't mean that no one else knows what's right. It just means you don't really want to hear it sometimes. But sharing this and a fresh set of eyes that can either describe what you've done right or call you out when you're phoning it in is really the best way to grow that idea. That's what I see as success, is accepting that input from other people and accepting your own self-criticisms. So another commitment of building my own studio. So there's a little commitment of your own that I would like to see from all of you guys. So just for your everyday, no, it's not that one. But I think you should be a sponge, ask people how they are, ask what they're working on, what they're excited about, what they have seen and liked, and care to hear the answer, because you can really grow a lot from that. Acknowledge that creativity isn't just pen to paper, but it's a human interaction. It's asking those questions and then asking them of yourself. The self-reflection is always really good. A little something else that I've committed to that I was going to share with you. I wasn't really busy enough, so I thought it'd be a good idea to try to make my own version of Wayne's World. Well, I guess that's kind of what it is. Basically, my work, graphic design-wise, is really heavily based in the music industry, and I was meeting all of these great people, and I really wanted a way to be able to talk with them about real life. Like this commitment that they've made to music, I wanted to talk to them about work and jobs. So it's asking them, basically, what did they have before they had music, or what would they be doing if they didn't have music? So I decided to set up basically a little YouTube TV show in my studio, which is called the Shack Sessions. I have a little preview video here, which is sort of a teaser reel that I was going to play for you.
My name's Callum Preston. I'm an artist from Melbourne, Australia. I've had a lot of different jobs, which has led me to here. This is the Shack. It's my studio, design office, workshop, and it's where I do my job day to day. I'm inviting talented people to come in and chat about all things work and jobs, and to perform just for you, live here in my studio. This is the Shack Sessions.
Hey Callum, how you doing?
So I wanted to hear a little bit about the kind of jobs that you've had in your life, because this is where I do my job.
I worked in a quiche factory.
At a video shop.
At Currumbin Sanctuary.
Pizza restaurant.
I delivered newspapers.
Worked at Lord of the Fries.
I actually worked at the fish frying place around the corner from here.
Dan Murphy's, man.
Petrol station attendant.
I grew up in a coastal town. I worked at like every fish and chip shop in that town.
If you'd never found music, what direction do you think your employment would have taken?
Tell me about the worst job you ever had.
What do you think the best job you've ever had is? Do you have a dream job that you've never done anything to try and achieve?
Dream job is definitely to be an AFL footballer.
To be a designer at Lego.
Oh, yeah. That's good.
You're lucky to even have jobs. I mean, I guess it depends on how you look at it. Singing and songwriting, trying to turn it into a job, which is what you think you're supposed to, right? Because you don't want to lay bricks forever.
Yeah.
And then you try and do that too, and then it changes your psyche about why you do things, and then your art suffers in some way. I think it's just about balance, man. No matter what job you're doing or what art you're doing, you've got to try and do it with pure intention, I think.
Kind of talked about and joked about opening a restaurant bar venue, but maybe like a rock and roll themed Mexican restaurant called For Those About to Guac.
I've been diagnosed with a heart that's a known unknown. So tell me, baby, what's so good?
Spend all my days walking around the local lake. Never thought I would have this 9-to-5 heartache. I went to big great university and got myself an arts degree. Oh!
You're a factory factotum artifact, and I ain't your fucking yoga anymore. I'm punching out.
I also just wanted to thank Creative Mornings for having me in today, to the Commons. As you leave the Commons out of this back door, I'm not sure how up high it will be, but I actually painted the back of the Commons about 2 years ago for an augmented reality app that is still based in the building, I believe. But yeah, you can have a look at that. I'm also part of Everfresh Studios, which is a studio in Collingwood. You can look that up online to see sort of our history, but I guess the roots of that being based in graffiti and street art. But as life rolls on, everyone sort of runs their own show, and the studio now is basically a hub of really awesome people, friends and mentors of mine. We can all bounce off each other, which is really great. So I want to thank Creative Mornings Melbourne, the Commons. I want to thank Arsman 1989. And as I said, you can find me on Instagram and also with the Shack Sessions. And I don't have a real website because I'm a horrible person, but I will do soon. Someone I met at the last time I did one of these speeches is helping me design a website, so who knows what this one will lead to. But yeah, that is it from me. Thank you so much for coming out. Oh, I should take a photo too, just to prove I was here. Yeah.